Hello world, welcome back to Coffee and Croissant with me, Christian Alphonse. It's a podcast show about food and travel. Today is January 30th, 2022, and I'm recording an emergency podcast. We're going to be discussing the Freedom Convoy and whether or not it is fake news. As a quick disclaimer, and for transparency's sakes, I'm pro-vaccine. I am fully vaccinated and have my booster. I am not pro or anti-convoy at the moment. This is why I invited my two guests, Daniel Calveron and Amarjot Singh, to talk to me about this situation. I'll let both of them introduce themselves later. As another disclaimer, my guests and I are not elected officials or representative. My opinions are not reflective of my guests and vice versa. Coffee and Croissant is a safe space for everyone and is open for discussion and dialogue that contradicts my own. I encourage my fellow Canadians to have open and respectful dialogue with those who have opposite view. With that being said, Daniel, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Daniel Calderon. I'm a filmmaker from Toronto, running my own business called 94 Productions. And Christian was kind enough to invite me to discuss this matter. Kind of strays away from the normal aspect of coffee and croissant, like the topics we like to talk about here.
Yeah.
Travel, tourism, food, whatever have you, $400 meals. But but we'll have another separate conversation about that. The truck convoy, definitely something I'm excited to talk about. I really don't have much to say in the sense of, I guess I have my opinions about how things are like headed with the vaccines and the whole like situation of the pandemic. But at the same time, it's clearly a hot button issue. It's trending all over the world, really, or at least in North America. Everybody's talking about it. Like we're the epicenter of this news story. And Canadians, for the most part, by nature, are reserved individuals. We don't really like to draw so much attention to ourselves. So the fact that Joe Rogan's talking about it, I don't know if you saw that clip.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about this. And, it's good and bad, right? Like with anything, like a lot of people are proud because they want to, show the world that as Canadians, we have a voice as well, and we stand for our independence. But like with anything, there's also bad things about it. There's very negative kind of results that have come out of this. I've seen, which is what I wanted to discuss with you. We'll get into it more, I'm sure. Just reading now an article like, homeless shelters getting harassed by, these people that were responsible for the convoy, and, also defacing statues and monuments in Ottawa that are considered sacred, that are considered separate from the cause. So again, we'll go over all these matters, and happy to discuss more, man.
Oh, and I'm happy that you're here. And like we said, this is just like an open discussion, a broad discussion about what's going on. I feel like my perspective is like many Canadians' perspective as well. Many Canadians don't know how to feel about this convoy yet. But I've also been reading that from both sides of the political spectrum, conservatives and liberals, they're saying things that kind of contradict each other in a weird way. And I'll definitely touch onto that. And I feel like there could be a lot of disinformation going on with this convoy as well, which is why this episode is titled, Is This Fake News? Is the Freedom Convoy fake news? But let's go straight to the facts. And what is the Freedom Convoy? So I'm just giving away the overview facts of it from both sides, pro and against. So the Freedom Convoy 2022 is an ongoing protest conducted by truck drivers in Canada against the COVID-19 vaccine requirements to re-enter the country by land introduced by the Government of Canada on January 15, 2022. It's composed of several routes traversing all Canadian provinces. The truck convoys converge on Ottawa on January 29th, which was yesterday, and they rallied at Parliament Hill. The goal of this convoy, or the goal of this whole protest, is to end the vaccine mandates in Canada during the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The Freedom Convoy spokesperson, Ben Dichter, stated on Fox News that we want to get rid of the vaccine mandates and the vaccine passports. More importantly, the vaccine passport, that's what they're most concerned with. Understandably, many Canadians who are not truckers are also affected by this because their workplace may require them to be fully vaccinated, aligning themselves with the government. As a quick note, personally, I've heard a couple people within different jobs, especially government jobs, losing their position because they were not fully vaccinated and they refused to do so. First, I know ici ADI, for people that don't know, is the French Canadian broadcasting arm of CBC, which is a Canadian broadcasting channel or corporation. Even interviewed people that lost their job during the vaccine mandate. So the people who are against the Freedom Convoy, such as our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, said that the protesters are a French minority with unacceptable views, alluding to the fact that some protesters are far right extremists and being part of the white supremacy slash Nazis. There's been a bunch of photos online which shows people with Nazi flags and the American Southern flag, which is the Confederate flag, which has association with white supremacy. Those are the facts we have now with an overview of both sides. What do you think so far? Like, do you think it's an accurate description of what's going on in terms of what's really going on? I think this is what I've been hearing in the news from both sides. Did I miss anything, Dan? What do you think?
Yeah, honestly, man, that was quite insightful because I didn't hear. I don't know whether to take that as real news or fake news because I didn't hear a lot of that for myself until you've voiced it. Um, Again, the things that I mentioned when I introduced myself about this situation were, to my knowledge, what I'm aware of. But at the same time, like the whole thing about the Nazi iconography, like I've never heard of that
It's
being shown. And I guess like I get, you know, I want to ask you this because, let's just tell people for listening in, you're a resident of Ottawa.
yeah. I live in
Um,
Ottawa. I'm in it.
so this is, yeah, so that's what I was going to say. So this is something that you can actually speak on, being real or not, right?
Mhm.
Speak on this subject. Do you see a lot of the things that you described
Yes,
earlier?
yes. Is it to the extent that the whole convoy or the whole protesters are part of the white supremacy and Nazi? I don't know if that's true or not, but I do have friends who are living downtown who are sending me photos of truckers with Confederate flags, people in pickup trucks with Confederate flags, and people walking around with Nazi flags proudly. So I do see that. I've even seen they even sent me photos of people with the Trump 2020
Oh,
flag
wow.
as well. So what the prime minister is saying could be true. It could be a French minority with unacceptable views. But on the other end, from what I've seen on Twitter, especially if you go on Twitter and you go to hashtag Freedom Convoy 2022, you're seeing just everyday people who are in the rural communities who are deeply affected by this vaccine mandate. They do not understand why they need to be fully vaccinated to cross the border. In their personal opinion, the work that they do doesn't really involve them seeing anyone because they're basically in a truck going from point A to point B. It's not like they're unloading or offloading any material. They're part of a supply chain, and they were like strongly encouraged and even known as heroes throughout this beginning of this pandemic. So what they're saying, so what the prime minister is saying, I do think it's true. I'm not gonna lie, like it is 100% true. I've seen it. I even had friends who are speaking against the convoy that are receiving death threats about this whole things.
Wow.
So like it is
From what?
legit.
From who though? Like Canadians?
Uh, uh,
Like
that's the thing.
citizens?
We don't know.
Hmm.
I'm so happy you said it. Is it Canadians? Because there's been rumors,
Is it government officials?
not government officials, but there's been rumors that like
Right.
Americans who are against this are also coming to Canada to protest and to join the rally.
Well, that's what
So
I meant. Yeah, that's what I was trying to bring up right at the beginning. Is like it started a movement.
yeah,
Um, a lot of people, have found their way to Ottawa. Are people still on the way, or
I
did they
think
all
so.
arrive?
I think the people are still
Oh,
on the
okay.
way. From what I heard, this may go all the way to February 4th, so all the way until Friday.
So what's the point? They're gonna. So let's like clear, like give some context to people that don't understand what's happening with this convoy. Are they coming to Ottawa to like kind of block all the streets, like create a blockade,
That's what's happening so
force their
far.
hand, kind of thing?
That's
Yeah.
what's happening so far. They're protesting Parliament. Hopefully, talk to talk to some elected officials
Hmm.
so that they can get at least a point of view to what they're coming from. I personally don't understand why they're doing it, to be quite honest, because no one has been in parliament. Everyone's been working from home during this whole
Right.
pandemic. So it's like
That's
you're
funny.
you're talking to like
Yeah.
people that are barely there. That makes no sense to me.
It's like someone's threatening where you or your the building you work at, but it's like I've been working from my laptop since March 2020.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly, exactly. So that being said, like to see on Twitter the people that are waving and that are greeting the truckers that are passing through the highway, especially in Toronto or close to Montreal and Quebec, like there are people that are totally for this. And this is something I really want to bring on to is it's the fact that people are losing jobs because they're not being fully
mm,
vaccinated because their
right.
workplace may align 100% with the government of Canada. And like it's a very interesting issue because I'm pro vaccines. Like
Well, yeah, and like,
yeah.
well, let me just clear this. I
Yeah.
said it on a podcast, well, my podcast, Corner Talks, that you've been a guest on quite recently, and I stand by it. It's like I don't want anyone to get. I don't really care if you get the vaccine or not. I can only control what I can do, and I
Hmm.
choose to get it because I want to protect myself. I've been taking vaccines since I was an infant,
Hmm.
to protect myself from the illnesses, the viruses that are out there. I think it's quite wise to do so. However, people have, medical issues, people are concerned about their long-term effects, have every right to not take it. My thing is I have peers or whatever that you speak to them and they're like, yeah, they're like, I don't believe in the vaccine, I'm not going to get it. But if they make it mandatory, like I'm just going to get it. And I'm like, well, with that attitude, like it's either you want it or you don't. You don't say like when something's shoved down your throat, you're going to get it because that kind of defies the whole purpose of the cause, right? Like
Hmm.
standing up for something that you believe in. And what I'm trying to get at is like the convoy, I believe, has a genuine, um, kind of mission
Hmm.
where kind of a genuine intent in that they don't want their livelihoods to be affected from a vaccine, right? And they're kind of saying, we're like the backbone of the nation. We transport the goods, the cargo, the food, all that you need. And we're isolated as it is. We don't really bother anyone. We're not big corporations, and we shouldn't be pressured into this vaccine. Now, that's just speculation, how I interpret the situation. I don't really know exactly why these truckers don't want to get their vaccines, but I have a feeling on a human level, right?
Hmm.
That's why a lot of people feel that way. So, with regards to like, back to this whole vaccine thing, it's like, if you don't want to take it, you don't have to take it. But if you start saying things like, yeah, I'm just going to take it anyway when it becomes mandatory, it makes no sense to me. It's like you're prolonging the cause, right? You're kind of putting everybody's life in jeopardy for what, it just I could never understand those people, and they voice it to me, right? It's not like they say like, oh no, I really don't want it, because then I say to them, yeah, it's up to you, I don't really care. Like one gentleman I work with, like he has a medical exempt, and he
Hmm.
got a card and everything, and he is afraid of blood clots. His doctor even warned him, like certain things about the vaccine could trigger these clots in the body, and that I respect, right? That I can understand. And I'm not saying you have to be medically exempt, but yeah, I think this whole concept, like I think we've gotten to a point, Christian, where everybody's just we don't know how to handle it. We don't know what to make of it. Everyone has an opinion now. I think it's kind of waning on everybody. It's what, like over 2 years now. And you have to understand, like I was just reading something before the podcast, like a top medical officer for Toronto was like, we now have to like get used to the idea that COVID will be with us for the rest of our lives, right? And it's like, yeah, I'm like, thanks for shutting everything down, affecting the economy, affecting a lot of people's mental health, because that's something that a lot of people predicted from the beginning, right? That it was just going to become part of our everyday life, the flu.
Yeah,
You agree on that?
I 100% agree with that. Like I think the science behind it, to me, in my personal opinion, makes sense. um I do understand why people do feel the way they feel because they've been told in absolute terms that it's not gonna last forever. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we all been told, oh, just do our part and we're gonna be good to go. So I do understand those who played their part feel annoyed by all this, by people not being fully vaccinated. But I do also see the other part of it as well. But personally, like if I were them, I'll get vaccinated. Like at this point in time, because there's nothing you can do now. Like you cannot travel without having a vaccine. Like certain
Yeah.
countries in Europe will not accept you. We're waiting for continent Africa to make their decisions in terms of vaccines and being fully vaccinated.
For
But
sure.
I know
Yeah.
for sure in
Europe, I'm sure.
Canada, like you need to be fully vaccinated and you need to have a negative COVID PCR test that is taken before your direct flight to come to Canada. Yeah, that has to be negative before you enter the country. Like Canada's not joking around with this, and I do understand why people feel not to do it. That being said, I love traveling. I think you love traveling as well, and we understand like
Yes, I miss it.
those are the risks of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if those truckers are people who are against vaccines are not traveling, like should their rights be removed? And that's the issue. Should their rights not be allowed if they don't go to restaurants? Because some of them want to go to restaurants, they want to the bars. Like
The
they don't
problem
want to
with
go ahead.
yeah, yeah, the problem with these truckers, yeah, like the thing what people don't realize is that these aren't like service jobs,
Yeah.
lawyer, doctor, whatever have you. These are guys that are literally bringing the food to your table.
Guys or girls as
Um,
well. Not only guys can do it, but
yeah,
guys and girls,
exactly.
yeah.
There's women truckers as well, but you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
From a
yeah.
generic perspective, like just from general speaking, that these gentlemen, these women, they are bringing the things our most basic need.
Mm-hmm.
I was even going to make a joke when I was going to come on the podcast. Like, is that why my Amazon package hasn't arrived? And as funny as that may sound to a lot of people, like, it's the reality. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if these truckers all went on strike
Yeah.
across North America. Like, I don't think people realize like the ramifications of this protest, like how it could affect, our way of life. Now, I don't know if I'm getting too
Let me add
extreme about it.
let me
Yeah.
add one more thing about it. Though the trucker association in Canada, 90% of
Mhm.
them are fully vaccinated. I think majority of them are fully vaccinated. It's just a small amount of them that aren't vaccinated. That
That are
being
causing this mess,
that are
like
causing this mess.
this protest. Yeah.
And let me see if I can read up an article for us because it was quite interesting to see because some of them feel as though that their movement has been hijacked by far right extremists. That I don't know if like when I hear things like that, then I gotta be quite honest. Like
Yeah.
you need to have like valid proof to tell me like something
You
like that's
gotta, the
happening.
expression goes, show the receipts.
Like exactly. But like seeing my friends' texts and like their story, I do believe it's true.
Mhm.
But when I read it on the news, I'm like, is this like a political play? Because you never know nowadays. You never know what everyone's agenda is. So let me go ahead and share with you some of the stuff that I've been seeing. So beside that, let me
So
see. Go ahead.
I want to just interject here while you search that up. So is it affecting your like actual day to day life
No,
where you're living?
no, because everything I do myself. First of all, I
Mm.
live in the outskirts of Ottawa,
A
uh,
suburb,
in the
like
suburb.
on the outskirts, right?
Yeah, in the
Yeah. Okay. Like
suburbs.
me on
Yeah,
Toronto. Yeah.
but like my work is from home. Everyone's work is from home. The only people that's
But I'm saying
really
you don't hear the noise. Like you don't
no,
feel it.
I
You
don't
don't
hear
feel
it.
the tension.
I don't
Yeah.
feel the tension no whatsoever.
Nice.
Um, but that being said, like the people that are working downtown, people that are in service job, the people that own businesses, they were forced to close down. The Rideau Mall Center was closed yesterday. Is also closed today because many of the protesters are not wearing masks inside the mall and they're not following the
Wow.
rules or regulation. And they had to close business. And you know me, I'm pro business. Look, like people need to make their money. The economy needs to,
Entrepreneur, buddy.
yeah, people need to get it going. Exactly. So,
You pushed me. Yeah, I was trying to say you pushed me to get my business going. I remember that. So.
yeah, 100%. So, like, I definitely feel that. But as you're currently seeing, this is from CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And
Mhm.
Dan, like, are you seeing all of this like highlights? This is from like they're saying this sign is could be related to the Proud Boys, liberty or death to me. But I just want
Yeah, but that's the problem with these movements, these protests. I'm sure you can agree, right?
to. Mm-hmm,
They take it to the extreme, right? There's people that are voicing it for a cause, like for the right cause, the one that's intended for them to be there.
mm-hmm.
And then there are those that take advantage of the riot, right? Take advantage of the hysteria, and they kind of push their own agenda. Like, is there a reason why the Proud Boys are part of? Are they not a racist militant group?
Yeah, they are. They are. They
Yeah,
are.
so I'm confused why they're. I guess they're truck drivers too.
I think I'm waiting.
Uh,
I'm waiting for someone to make a deep dive about this because from what
like
I'm
Bill
on it,
Maher or something.
yeah, like I'm waiting for like a 40-40 on this because
Yeah.
like I think this is a lot more deeper than it goes because the people that are originally did this, like did this
Hmm.
convoy, not part
Hmm.
of the trucking association.
They're not part of the truck association.
Yeah,
That's very interesting. Well, you're telling me something now that piqued my interest, but also made me question the whole movement. It's only 10% that are unvaccinated, and they're part of this
yeah,
convoy.
exactly. So like I'm saying right
What?
now, I'm
I thought
not
it was something like 70%. I could be wrong.
like I heard 90% of them are fully vaccinated. I'm talking about the Canadians. I'm not quite sure about the Americans.
Mm.
But
But
said
I'm
like
saying, so what's the point of the move? Is it like based on principle? Like, don't tell us. I guess any protest really is, but I'm still confused as to why they would go through all this trouble.
they would go all this trouble because they're against the vaccine mandate and against the vaccine passport. They don't
Yeah.
think that it's the government's place to tell them what to get vaccinated on, what not to get vaccinated on. I'm assuming let's bring this pure in stats. There has to be a correlation between people that are part of convoy and anti-vaxxers. Like there has to be a correlation here, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I would like there has to be a correlation. I'm not quite sure if the majority of anti-vaxxers are vaccine hesitant, but I would say that anti-vaxxers definitely belong in this group because if you're fully vaccinated, like what are you like? You must be a very small minority that's within the convoy that is fully vaccinated. Unless they're fully vaccinated, but they're part of the Proud Boys or white supremacy trying to start some stuff up within like this
Yeah,
whole
that's
movement.
that's a good point.
You
Yeah,
know,
if they're
like
if they're trying to instigate, that's a whole different conversation or podcast. But
exactly.
yeah,
But like, here's the thing. I think most people live in silos, and people don't really understand what Canada is. Canada is mostly
I love.
rural
Yeah,
communities.
okay.
It's mostly
Yeah,
rural
no,
communities,
Canada.
small
You know
communities.
what? I'm so happy you said that. 10% of the population of Canada lives, not 10%, sorry, 90% of the population of Canada lives on the border of the United States and
Hmm.
Canada. I don't know if
Hmm.
you've read something like that.
I haven't read something like
So
that.
you can
Go
imagine,
ahead.
yeah, but you can imagine the amount of geographical like landscape that is unoccupied by humans, but also that are at the same time, like you said, like rural landscapes. Um, we don't have a lot of predominant cities
Hmm.
around. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of like farm activity. There's a lot of I don't even know what I'm getting at with farm activity, but I mean like there's a lot of places.
People in
People forget.
trades.
Yeah, people in trades, but people also forget like there's Yukon, Northwest Territories, Nunavut.
Hmm.
That's still Canada, right?
Hmm.
So we live. I'm don't know about Ottawa, but I know of Toronto, for example. If you live in Toronto or on the outskirts, it's heavily influenced by the American culture. So you think that's how everyone else lives, right? Like the
Hmm.
lifestyle,
Hmm.
but it's not the case.
Hmm.
Even if you just drive a couple of hours away from where I live,
Hmm.
up north, right? Barrie or even farther, um, you'll notice a different way of life, right? Like a different group of people in terms of like mindset and values, and Um, just maybe leading more simple lives, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, definitely I can understand what you're saying.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like people like, and this is to the audience. I have my point of view, and Dan has his point of view, but we're open to have people that have different point of views to this as well. Like, kind of has to have an open discussion about this. I'm tired of people saying like, "You are this, therefore you are this, 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 this." Like, people can have different views or different stance on this. I do feel for people that lost their jobs and refuse to be fully vaccinated and that lost their jobs. I do feel for them. That being said, like, a corporation, a business, they're allowed to have requirements, you know?
It's
So
a private enterprise too, right? Like
exactly.
they can govern it how they choose, right? As long as they're not breaking the law, um, they can instill certain policies on their employees, right? It's
Hmm.
the same as them, a security policy on like what they can or cannot do within the company. Like they can also adhere to that. They can also administer that. Like for example, like a school, like an education system.
Hmm.
People forget that. I remember when I was a kid growing up, my mom would have to have like forms signed and approved saying that your child is vaccinated, right, with the
Hmm.
following vaccines. And I asked her once, growing up, like what that meant, and she said, no, they want to make sure that if you're in a class of children, like you and your classroom, right, your classmates are all vaccinated, so they prevent I don't know, like diseases or other like viruses to be spread. It's just like a common thing. And before the whole pandemic even existed, there was a lot of people, quite a significant amount, that were protesting against vaccines,
Yeah.
like mandates,
Yeah.
even for things like smallpox, right?
Yeah.
Measles, things like that. And it's baffling to me, right? Because like they said something like smallpox used to affect millions of children around the world, like for the longest time in human history. And I think we're like 99% immune to it, like eradicated. They're almost eradicated from the face of the earth.
Hmm.
Um, and that can only be possible with a vaccine, right? You can't just wish it away from existence. You have to take the appropriate measures, the scientific action to get it done. So yeah, I don't know, man. Like it's a tricky subject because at the end of the day, like if you want me to be fully honest, like I respect what everyone's doing here and like fighting for their cause, but I really don't know what everyone expects like this direction to take. You know what I mean? Like this pandemic has again
Yeah.
waned on so long,
Yeah.
and at this point, um, I think it might get worse in a sense. Like for the people that don't want to get vaccinated, hearing me say this, um, they're being nice right now. They're just they were very nice when it first started. Like I think about it when it first started,
Yeah.
or like in terms of the vaccines being introduced.
Hmm.
Me and you, we were open to taking it because we wanted to like, get on with it. I was actually hesitant
Hmm.
when they were developing it. I said, "Oh, I don't know what the hell vaccine, right?" And then I realized, we have to kind of move on with our lives. But that was even before, you know what I mean, man? Like they didn't even say anything about taking a vaccine.
Hmm.
Like I just expected the population to do
Their
their right,
part.
do their part, and inoculate themselves so they can, have society return to normal. And that wasn't the case, right? Because there's always, I'm sure there's scientific studies, right, or sociological studies where, in a group of people, there's always going to be a small percent, an outlier, right? That's
Hmm.
going to not partake in whatever experiment you're going for. So whatever have you. They were nice about it in the beginning. They didn't say much. They just said, get your vaccine, support a good cause, even post about it, whatever. What do we have now? Oh, now you can't go to a restaurant. Now you can't go to the movies.
Yeah.
Now you can't go to the airport. Now you can't travel. Wait,
Yeah.
what? Now they're imposing these restrictions. Wait, this is a free country. They can't do that. Oh, but they did.
Hmm.
Oh, wait, you can't work for the school board. You can't, work for public transit. You know what I mean? These government union jobs that people thought they were going to be protected from.
Yeah.
They had a mandate. They had an ultimatum or a deadline. by this date, if you don't get inoculated, we don't care. You're done.
Oh,
Like that's it.
hold on,
Haven't
hold
you
on.
heard about that?
I heard about
The
that.
public transit system?
Then I heard
Yeah.
about it. I just got a Amir God saying is about to join. I think it was gonna come, but
Oh,
I
okay.
might be joining.
All right, let's go.
Hey, man. Hey. But then, like, let's stick to that point you were having while he's about to
Mhm.
connect his audio. I'm gonna share with you my
So your
screen.
friend, yeah, your friend. Sorry, well, I'll ask him what his name is, but yeah, he can definitely chime in on these
Hey,
points.
hey, how's it going, man? I didn't think you were gonna come.
Hey, bro. Yeah, I don't know if you can see me on the video here. I'm just trying to get in. Can you see me?
No, I can't. I can't see you. By the way, you're on. You're on a. There you go, man. Oh, I'm
Hey,
loving the
man.
beard, man.
Thanks, bro.
Long
Thank you.
time no see, man. Uh,
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yo, by the way, we have here my friend Daniel Calderon, who's like the owner of 94 Productions. Before we get this conversation going,
Okay.
just
Yep.
quickly introduce yourself so the audience know who you are and what you're about.
Yeah. So my name's Agumjot Singh. I'm an artist, oil painter. I live in Toronto, and yeah, like I'm basically like a French Canadian Sikh, if that is irrelevant, if it's relevant in any way. But yeah, like I've just been sort of like covering the Freedom Convoy, on Instagram and connecting with people on the ground from different walks of life. And yeah, so I was sharing it on Instagram, and then Christian here,
Yeah.
we're connected on Instagram from many years ago in Ottawa. I think we met at the IFCO, I think,
Yeah,
right?
IFCO, which is the Independent Filmmakers Cooperative of Ottawa.
Yeah,
You made some cool shorts. I think we both kind of like each other's shorts, and we spoke about the
yeah.
industry, and that's how we connected.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, and yeah, I worked in the film industry for a year or so here in Toronto. So, so yeah. Um, but yeah, like back to the Freedom Convoy. Um, yeah, like I think it seems to be like there's like a polarizing sort of energy to this thing
Yeah.
where it's like you have the mainstream media saying like one thing, and then you have like what's really happening and the majority of what's really happening, which seems to be like love and unity. So I'm personally kind of inspired by like my Sikh friends, Paul Mendersing, who I connected you with.
Mm-hmm.
They're there like serving people food, and they're just like spreading love
Yeah.
and messages of peace and unity and coming together to basically end these mandates that are being enforced on people, and for taking people's jobs away
Yeah.
if they're vaccinated or not. So yeah, like it seems like there's a large majority of people from different walks of life there, just like coming in and requesting their freedom that we once had, the democracy we once lived in. So yeah.
Man, and this is such a good point. And let's stick to that point. I'm going to share with you guys my screen. And I'm going to highlight, I just highlighted a part of this whole conversation, this whole point, people losing their jobs. Can anyone see my screen, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
for sure.
And I'm going to read this for the audience who's listening through audio. Kelly Starling, a single mother of one, also came out to show support. She said she was fired from her job with Toronto Water for failing to report her vaccination status by the prescribed deadline. By the start of the year, the city had fired 461 employees for failing to comply with its mandate. Asked why she felt it was important to demonstrate, Starring said, to make sure they know not everybody's on this side is a bad person. I'm a good person. Starring added that she contracted COVID-19 in March 2021, along with several of her colleagues, but all of them survived and are healthy today. Starring said she is convinced of the need of being fully vaccinated. And this is the point that Dan was making, and I also agree with that point. Like, if these, like, I don't think all these people are this extremists that they say the media says it is. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that's like
They're just
that's
yeah,
nuts.
they're just
Yeah. I
Like,
they're just
totally
simple
agree.
people, man.
people just living their day-to-day job, who do believe that they don't need to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
So, like, let me give everyone a bit more. Let me catch up the conversation. So I was saying then, I'm pro vaccines. I'm not gonna lie, I'm fully vaccinated. I have my booster, But I definitely
Mhm.
understand people who are hesitant in being vaccinated. It's something that just happened like 2 years ago. Not
Yeah.
no one's quite sure. Not people are comfortable. The fact that
Mhm.
people are losing their jobs about this, I don't know how I feel about it. It's very crazy. That
But
Mhm.
being
that's what I was trying
said,
to tell you,
yeah,
right?
go ahead, Dan. If you want,
No, that's
jump
what I was
in.
trying to tell you. And by the way, it's a pleasure, Gamjat, like to have you on the podcast. I'm a fellow Toronto citizen here,
Yeah,
so very nice. I didn't know you're from Toronto, so that's cool. Um, but nevertheless, yeah, like that was a conversation I was having with Christian before you came on the podcast. Is when they were introducing these vaccines, they were being nice about it in the sense that they were saying, "Oh, please do your part. Help society get back to normal." We highly encourage you, right? Here are all the statistics, all the scientific proof that it could help us, whatever have you. And that's fine, right? Everyone has their own kind of like prerogative, like if they want to take the vaccine or not. Um, but no one in their wildest dreams, especially in a free country like Canada, would believe that, oh, they can't tell you if you can't enter a restaurant if you are not
yeah,
vaccinated, or at the airport. But I was the only one, maybe blame it on my cynicism, but I was the only one saying, no, they can. Trust me. They want something, if the government wants something to be like mandated, or want something to be accomplished, they'll do anything in their power to get it done. They're doing it gradually. That's the difference. See, if they
Mhm.
were doing it when they announced the vaccines, right? If they started saying, if you don't do it, you're going to get fired from your job. These city workers will get let go. Truckers have to do it. If they just started overwhelming the population,
Mhm.
no one would get vaccinated. Probably a small percent. I don't even know if a reasonable person would be, right? Because then they would see it as a political move.
Yeah.
So I think it's very gradual. And I see what they're doing. Do I think they're an evil entity like a lot of people believe they are? No, I don't really think that. I just think it's very strategic. And the logic is, we're 2 years into a
yeah,
pandemic. We're in a first world country. As Christian always says, being an entrepreneur, business has to be booming. Like you have to, you can't just like
yeah.
twiddle your thumbs and stay home all the time, watch Netflix. Like eventually, we have to
Mhm.
get back to normal. When Omicron was on the horizon and people were, talking about this new variant and skeptical, like very, just anticipating its arrival. Um, there was a lot of cases kind of apparent from where I live, in Toronto, on the outskirts of Toronto, and business was still booming in the Christmas holidays. Like no one was kind of shutting down.
Mhm.
And now,
Yeah.
why is that? Because that's one of the pivotal seasons of the year to kind of help the economy bounce back.
Mhm.
But as soon as January 1st, January 2nd hit, that's when you started seeing, oh, only 50%, and people are going to be checked and all that those sort of measures, right? So again, I just think there's a lot of things at play. It's like you said when you came on the podcast, it's very polarizing.
Yeah,
In my opinion, there's not really much to say anymore. I think it's like, take the vaccine if you feel you'll be in a safer place, right? For your own safety, for your own health, for the people around you. But if you don't want to take it, you don't take it. Like that's your prerogative. I really don't care. I was just telling Christian, it's
yeah.
the people that say I'll take it when it becomes mandatory. It's probably your internet.
Oh, it's probably
Yeah,
my
I think it's
internet.
Christian. Oh,
It
are
is
you
my
back?
internet. It's all good.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I thought you were on
Hopefully.
that 5G, bro.
Yo, man, yeah,
Oh
I
man.
took the vaccine, so I must have 5G right now. I'm just kidding. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
man. You got to take that four. You got to take that four booster, bro. Booster four,
I'm
then you'll
just
get
kidding.
five
I'm
G.
just
What
kidding,
I would
people,
love to
man.
ask,
People are
No.
what I
so
would love to
sensitive
ask,
nowadays when they make jokes about that stuff.
We
Um,
just play it, but
but
it's
like,
nice to know everybody's imagination is good.
but honestly, Dan, like what Dan just said, people, this is what most Canadians feel. Like it has to be. Most Canadians are just like, I'm taking it because I feel taking it. If you don't want to take it, that's good. But I'm gonna take it because I feel comfortable taking it. I don't think most Canadians feel the need of forcing people to get vaccinated. Like that's what I'm trying to really get a sense of. This is why I'm open to have dialogue with multiple people from different point of views about this. We cannot have this be a
Mhm.
divisive thing for Canada. It just cannot be. But all right, so
Well, I think the whole trucker, the movement, that's what it, like you just said, right? I think leading up to the truck, this whole convoy, no one really thought it was that divisive until they saw,
yeah,
this convoy headed towards Ottawa. In Canada, that is, right? We see it in the news, like the Americans, how they react, but to see this happening in our home territory, it's a whole different story.
So Amarjot, like you said, you have friends that are in Canada and that are in Ottawa on the front lines of things. How are they doing?
I'll just correct my name. Just it is a really tough name,
Yeah,
but if you pronounce it Agum Jote, like
a
a
gum
gum.
joke. I'm so sorry about that. A gum joke.
Yeah, yeah, no worries, man. Yeah, Agum Jote. Yeah, but yeah, like my friends in Ottawa. I'm not sure exactly where they're from, but I connected with them on Instagram. Palminder Singh and his friends, they like basically got like a 4x4 truck full of like food, and they just like drove down to Ottawa to support like all the protesters, the convoy, like the truckers and stuff, and they're just like giving out like food, which is like a kind of a Sikh tradition that they just like feed people.
Hmm.
So it's really cool to see that they're there because like there's a lot of like media about like, oh, it's like a white supremacy thing, but then yet you see these like guys with turbans who have been like
Yeah.
victims of white supremacy and they're showing up and they're like supporting and they're trying to remind everyone like like yeah, like this is about ending mandates, not about like whatever narrative is starting to spread. And it seems like that narrative is like very popular in the mainstream media, but then like on actual like Instagram and social media, it's like mostly like, everything that I've seen has been like nothing but unity between like I've seen even like Aboriginal peoples and like people of color and
Hmm.
like all different peoples, and they're all like we're all mostly on the same page. Like, yeah, we don't want mandates in Canada. Like that's what we're protesting. You know what I mean?
So wait, so let me ask you this question because I actually seen the opposite. This is so interesting.
Oh, really?
I have friends who's been sending me photos of people with Nazi flags, with Trump
Okay.
flags, and with the
Hmm.
Confederate flag. Have your people seen that during the
I,
thing?
I
Go
I
ahead.
have. See, I asked them last night. I did a voice call with them, and they said that they didn't see anything like that.
Wow.
Uh, and I also have another brown friend who's Bangladeshi,
Hmm.
and he went down there and he took video and everything, and he said that he didn't see any flags either. And I was like, these were the first questions I asked him because, like me personally, I'm like, if there is any type of like white supremacy behind the organization of this convoy, like I'm gonna definitely like be a little bit more like
Yeah.
cautious about sharing about this thing. But so far, like from what I've seen, it's like it doesn't seem to be the main thing. But where I'm starting to get like a vibe is that like it's very possible that like other groups when there's chaos in society, they see this as an opportunity to like show their flags and flex and try to do something to get like more attention
Hmm.
and voice their opinion. And I honestly feel like if they are there, which I have seen some pictures like Confederate flag and stuff, I feel like they're a very small minority.
Hmm.
Like I feel like they're a very small percentage of the group that's showing up.
Yeah, because I
So
haven't heard any of that either myself. So that might be like one or two flags
exactly,
in a
yeah, like
sea
it's
of
probably
people.
a very small fraction of people.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
So like, here's a question. So is all this fake news then? Like that's what I gotta ask because like, if it's just
Yeah.
one guy that's all these flags,
Yeah.
I
like
think it's not fake. It's just irrelevant, to be honest. Like they're just kind of there just to stir up shit. Like they could be there for the purposes of just to instigate or grab attention,
Yeah.
right? Like
man.
why else are they there?
They
I'm
could
so
even be
confused.
paid actors. They could even be paid actors from like foreign adversaries, and
Yeah,
that
that's a
goes.
proven thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and that could be like conspiracy theory territory, but like it's very possible that foreign adversaries be like, oh, look what's going on in Canada. Let's hire some divisive groups to go in there and pay them really well, and they just go in there and make some trouble.
Great point. And on Twitter, that bots, Instagram, that
Yeah.
bots. They can use
Yeah.
bots to attack people or
Yeah.
to create a Facebook group that's pro or for against this to create some type of discourse that's
Yes.
against Canada. Like all these are possible.
Absolutely.
We saw it happen in American elections. This can definitely
Hmm.
happen here in Canada. So
Yes.
I don't know what more to say about this. This is so interesting, crazy. Like I'm excited for the documentary versions of all this as a deep dive. Because
Yeah.
like I don't know what to. There's so many news. I don't know what's real, what's not real. Like this is nuts. But anyways, like any closing thoughts on this? I'm gonna wrap up the show.
No closing thoughts for me. I think I've voiced everything in my opinion. We're just like having a conversation, right,
Yeah.
about how we see the situation. It's kind of interesting because it really is from different perspectives. We're from Toronto and you're from Ottawa,
Hmm.
so you actually see it on home turf, like what with your own eyes. and we're here just taking in what the media is reporting back. But we also see it from different angles, right? Like social media.
Yeah.
I think what people need to take from this is, regardless of the cause, regardless if you support it or not, you can't dismiss it. You can't, kind of just ignore it. It's here. There's a reason why it's here, and maybe instead of just brushing it off, we should kind of, hear what they have to say. But eventually, people should kind of move on. And when I say move on, I mean we make a decision, so we're not kind of going through these protests all consistently, right? Like, because it's the divisiveness, it is counterproductive to our progress.
Yeah. I'm going to draw it.
Yeah.
Sorry, am I saying it correctly?
Yeah, it's a gum joke, but don't
Agum
worry.
joke. So sorry, Agum joke. Please keep correcting me. Agum joke. Any thoughts on any closing remarks?
Yeah. So like, the one thing that keeps coming to me about this, and I'll share it as my closing remark, is that I just feel like if this indeed is a protest about mandates, which it appears to be, and removing them for Canadian, to preserve Canadian democracy, I really would love to see a unified, other people, like people of color, people of different religions and races, and in Canada, because we're such a multicultural country. I know there's other people out there, but I'm sure they've become obviously they think that the convoy may be racist, so it's let's stay away from that. But I'm hoping that I might even go down myself next week and tie my turban and show up and help those guys be people. So I would just love to see some more unity, man, and just people come together and be our nation is strong and we have things that can be fixed in our country, the First Nations and things like this. They need to be, of course, that's the government that should be working on that. But yeah, we need to come together and I would love to see a show of all walks of life come together on this and preserve our democracy.
Well said. Well said. I'll just say, people, stop being in your silos. If you want to get understanding, ask someone. Be like, I don't get this. Can you explain this to me? Because that's how you create open discourse with different people. I think this is very interesting what's going on. I see reports from both sides, National Post, Globe and Mail, Radio Canada, CBC, they're all saying different things. So if you don't know, ask. Honestly, just ask. But go ahead. I think this was a great show, guys. Thank you so much for hopping in. Go ahead. I have a bunch of listeners that are listening in. Do you guys want to share anything and share your socials or things you're currently working on? The floor is yours.
Not really much to share as of now. But I'm Daniel Calderon from Toronto, like I said before, and I run a business called 94 Productions as a filmmaker. I finished directing a short film back in December, so kind of just working on post-production right now, wrapping that up, and having some other projects that I'm tackling in the new year. So excited to work with more talented and creative individuals. But yeah, check me out. My Instagram page, it's d.calderon, and looking forward to connecting.
Perfect. Agum Joe, that's that correct, right?
You got it.
Yes. yes.
Usually it takes people a few times to get it. But yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at agumjotsing108. And you can check out my oil paintings. I have original artwork up for sale online, so if you're interested in that. And I also donate 1% of all the proceeds to Water First, which is to help clean water for Aboriginal communities. Or you can pick for Plan Canada to help people in third world countries, and CALSA Aid, which helps people in third world countries as well, but more so for conflict zones. So if you're interested in that, go check it out on my Instagram.
And the paintings, I've seen the paintings. I like most of them. They're super cool. You call them they're post-impressionists, correct? Post-impression with twist?
Yeah, that's the style I'm going for. Is bright colors, landscapes, large brushstrokes, French classical impressionism.
Really cool stuff. Anyways, people, we're out. Hopefully, I get to discuss with your friend Amgwajo and see what he has to say about this whole thing. And we are out.